This afternoon, 10 on your side brings you a special coronavirus digital discussion about the pandemic. We have these most Monday afternoons at 1:15. As the pandemic drags on, chronic workplace stress is at an all-time high. It's particularly taking a toll on women, people of color, and those with kids or elderly parents to take care of. Joining me now to talk more about this and what workers and employers can do about it is Centera Health Plan's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Thomas Lundquist. Dr. Lundquist, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
It's my pleasure.
So let me start by asking, how bad is the burnout right now?
I think it's pretty significant. I think a lot of people have focused, on coronavirus and everything that's going on in our country, and it really varies by people. Different people cope with stress differently, but I think there is a fair amount of burnout. I think this is, now that we're a year past when this all got started, I think an awful lot of people are really feeling the effects on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, I read a recent study saying that 9.8 million working moms are suffering from burnout. And, when they're taking care of kids who are homeschooling, sometimes they're taking care of elderly parents. What can these women do right now to kind of help them navigate life when they're still working at home?
Yeah, well, let me first say that I'm a pediatrician by my original training and practiced for a number of years, and I would offer to say that there's not a harder job in the world than being a mom, whether you're at home or a working mom. And that said, I think coronavirus has created a whole different set of stresses, and I think what moms can do are a number of things to prevent burnout. The first is you always have to focus on yourself. I think you need to take a stock on what you're doing day in and day out and say, where am I finding time for me? And for everybody, that might be a little bit different. And it's not a huge amount of time, but it's that mental health moment, right? It may be 5 or 10 minutes in the morning to collect yourself, think about your day, take stock of what stresses you perhaps, and what things seem to set you off, and say, how am I going to deal with that today? Second is, what are things that are important to you? If it's important to get some exercise, or to get a walk outside, or to get some sunshine, or spend some time, reading a book, it's planning for that. It's saying, we're going to find 15 minutes over lunch. I'm going to find a half an hour after dinner or before dinner. If you have a spouse or significant other that helps out, obviously plan that together so that each of you has time to have that personal time that you may need to sort of just regroup and just think about what makes you happy. So we can go into that some more, but that's sort of the first advice I'd give.
And I think that moms often feel guilty about taking that time for themselves because there's always something else that needs to be done.
There is always something else to be done. And I think if, my wife and I have learned anything through the coronavirus, my wife is a substitute teacher, and she's been teaching significantly, pretty much 3, 4, 5 days a week since this all started, an in-school program. Some things just have to be let go. It's okay if the kitchen floor is a little messier than usual. It's okay if the laundry takes an extra day to get done. Certainly as I worked from home, I'm trying to do some of those during my breaks and catch up on some of those to help my spouse out. But it's those little things that sometimes we just have to be not so much as a perfectionist, so that the more important things of our lives count.
Sure. And this could be affecting moms, but also many workers out there that some people have lost jobs. They maybe just got a new job, or they experienced pay reduction, or even if they are just working from home and the boss doesn't see them physically every day, they may be feeling that extra pressure, to prove themselves or to work harder to make sure that they're getting it done so they don't lose another job. And that is placing a lot of stress on folks too.
It certainly is. And I think it's important to really think about, what is my engagement? How do I show that I am engaged and that I'm working? Whether it's a short email or a phone conversation or just a response of emails during certain times. But just as important is to also plan some downtime. I think we're all guilty perhaps of spending too much time on technology. And, whether we're working at a job for 10 years or whether it's a brand new job for us, while it's important to have those hours on and to be doing what we need to do for our work, it is important also to have that time set aside for some time off, that mental break that you need. And again, that might be, 1 or 2 short periods, 5, 10, 15 minutes during the day. As your work allows, and then certainly in the evenings you need to set some time aside where you just are off. Emails and phone messaging is there to be asynchronous, so it's okay to take 20, 30 minutes or even a couple hours off in the evening.
Yeah.
And I think people have to give themselves permission to do that.
It is hard when you have that phone in your hand all the time and it's constantly dinging. Is it something that we should do, obviously ourselves, but do you think that that also falls on employers at some point to say, it's okay, when you're off, or, and it may vary job to job, but what kind of responsibility do you think employers hold for this?
It's a great question. I think it's significant. I think they have a significant responsibility. I think, bosses and employers need to be able to say to their employees, we expect a certain amount of work and we expect you to sort of get your work done. But on the other hand, we also expect you to take time off. Those evening hours or the time that you're off, whenever that might be, is critical, because if you don't get refreshed, you will not be as productive during your day at the job or during the night at the job. So it is important. I for one, have always told my direct reports, look, I know you may catch up on, emails on the weekends, for example. And while I may look at them, I purposely set the example where I typically will not respond to emails. I may queue them, put them in my outbox, but I will not send them on a weekend, because I don't want my employees to think that they need to respond or they should be available, 24/7, 365. They need that time off, not hearing from me as well.
Leading by example, I like that. So students are also not immune to this. We're talking, they're feeling pressure as well. And many times it's these juniors and seniors in high school, or perhaps the freshmen and seniors in college, who are getting ready to move into that next phase in life. And getting into college now is looking different. Some colleges aren't taking SATs, and the kids are wondering, how are they going to look at me? How are they going to choose me? They're feeling pressure to prove themselves as well as maybe those college seniors looking for their first job. They don't really know how to navigate this, and that causes a lot of stress as well. Any advice or tips for them?
Yeah, be patient. I think, if there's advice for, I think, all of us at every age, it's be patient with yourself and be patient with the process. Put your best foot forward, do the best you can, make sure that you can tell a story around what you're learning from this adversity. I think, employers are looking not only for talent and expertise for whatever job you might be applying for, they're also looking for someone who sort of can take a challenging situation like we've all faced this past year and be able to wrap it in some kind of a learning. This is what I've learned about myself through this process. And I've learned that by doing these little things, I can do better. And here's how I want to present myself on the job. So I think they need to be patient with themselves. I think they should also feel confident that the employers know that this has been going on. It's not like they've been in a void either. So, they're gonna give some leniency that where they can. They're gonna expect that there may be some areas of someone's expertise that may not be completely refined. And it's not unfortunate, or it's not unreasonable for a college graduate to be saying, what are you going to do to continue to help me to learn and be effective at the job? I think that's an important expectation of someone who's going into the workforce. And employers should have a good answer for that, of how they're going to help that transition.
Sure. We were talking a lot about people working from home, or students here working from home, but there are those folks who have been going into the workplace, who never stopped going into the workplace. They're feeling overwhelmed as well a lot of times, and some of them are kind of feeling resentment, whether it be to those maybe in the same workplace that are working from home and they have to come into the job, or maybe a spouse or sibling or something who's staying at home while they're going into work. And they're just saying, this isn't fair. They think the other half has it easier. What kinds of things can you tell them that would help them to de-stress?
Right. Yeah, I think all of us, I listen to your question. It kind of reminds me of my parents telling me as I was growing up, life isn't fair, right?
I thought the same thing. My mom said it too.
We all sort of know that, and we have to get through that. And it is true to a sense. But I think what's important for the people who are in the workplace and, perhaps feeling like they're not getting the fair end of this, they need to sort of take a deep breath as well and really think about, am I getting burnt out? I think you can get burnt out at home. You can get burnt out in the workplace. The workplace is not the same as it used to be. You don't have the same social interactions. So depending on what makes you tick, introvert or extrovert, you need to make sure, again, you're getting the things that give you the energy that you need. So again, I think from the workplace, many places you can, take a walk, get up from your desk, take a walk. Just even a lap around the office can got to get the blood flowing, get you thinking differently. If you can get outside when the weather gets nicer, do that for short spells here and there. Make sure that you're not spending more time at the office than you need to. I think sometimes we're all guilty of that. There's always one more email. There's always one more task to get done. Set your limits, get that done, and also use your break times for a break. Employers give lunch hours or half hours and break times for a reason. And it is important to sort of get up, stretch your legs, get the blood flowing, and find those things that do energize you.
Yeah. What can I do? What things can I look for in a coworker, or maybe if I am the boss, what things can I look for in my employees that might be red flags that I might need to step in and do something? And what should I do?
Yeah, good. Another good question. I think we all need to be sensitive to ourselves and those around us for signs of burnout, right? And signs of burnout can include a lot of different things. You might see increased illness patterns. People may have, more colds or flus or signs of symptoms. They may have a loss of appetite. You may have increased anxiety or increased anger issues, or even, on the flip side, depression. So if people aren't acting like themselves, take that moment I think as a boss or a coworker to say, what stresses might they be under? And, can I at least show some compassion, some empathy that we're all under stress, and maybe just inquire. And then I think offering that sense of friendship or coworkerness that says, I care about you as a person first and foremost. Are you doing okay? And sometimes people don't need you to fix things, right? I, as a husband, have learned this from my wife. My wife doesn't always need me to fix what she has a concern about. Sometimes I just need to listen. So I think by listening to our coworkers, listening to those around us, we can just sometimes give them that sense that, hey, somebody does care about me. And that's an important part of just being human. And then from there, if they really are struggling, if they really are having trouble, most employers have things like employee assistance programs. Employees are often resistant to use those, but they can be a great source of some just initial counseling and a touch point that may help you realize that there's just some things you need to be reminded of, right? Exercise, better sleep habits, or perhaps you do in fact have, anxiety that's gotten, or depression that's gotten beyond the normal, kind of light things, and you need to then get some help, and maybe some additional counseling sessions might help you through that. So I think it's important to do that. The other thing you can watch for are, signs of isolation, loss of enjoyment in a job. If somebody normally was a pretty happy person and they seem to have loss of enjoyment or engagement, those can all be signs that they're really starting to slide into burnout. And it's important, again, for those folks to get help. The other place to look is if you have health insurance. A lot of health insurance like Optima and Centera health plans, they have programs for health and wellness through their websites, through their programs. There are ways to sort of access, a variety of tools, some web-based, some person-to-person, that can just help you sort of push that reset button and think about, how am I going to kind of get my energy back, get my enlightenment back, and my enjoyment back in my family and my workplace.
And I think you hit on something important there a couple of minutes ago when you said all these programs are offered oftentimes, but people may be a little resistant to try them. They're afraid that it's going to reflect badly on them.
Yeah, and again, I think, most employers, if not all employers, set these programs up to be really anonymous from the reporting structure, right? So an EAP program is designed to be separated from any kind of a notification. If my employees were to access our EAP program, I'm not going to know about that. That's for them, and I'm going to encourage them. I've occasionally sent employees, given them that resource to touch into, because I want them to be productive and efficient and effective at their job. And I want them, frankly, to be happy and effective at home as well. So if I send something that's going on at work, I know that that can bleed over to home life, and I want them to get that help they need. So people should feel pretty reassured that there is a sense of anonymity to those programs, and they should feel more comfortable in accessing them for that reason.
That is important, and also important to take care of these mental health issues, because that could affect your family life and your future career if you don't take care of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, mental health is something we all have to face, throughout life. We should think of it no different than our physical health. It's one of those parameters that we need to just continually be thinking about. I know throughout my life, I've gone through various periods of health. I've, since being a college athlete, struggled with my weight, and I've gone through ups and downs with that. But when I am focused on it and I'm able to be healthier from a physical perspective, I certainly feel better about myself and all other aspects of my life, family life and work life. And the same is true for mental health. If we can be healthy there and we find the things that really make us feel better about ourselves, and those may change over time, then we need to make sure we're building those into our day. So again, it can be as simple as taking that break between work or after work where we get outside, we take a walk. For some people, it's reading a good book. A few years back, my wife decided to read only the great literature. And a few years after that, I finally took her up on that same advice and tend to go back and read some books that perhaps I read back in high school, or books I never read that I know are supposedly be great works of literature. And I've really come to enjoy some of those. They teach life lessons. The reason why they're great works of literature is they teach life lessons that are ubiquitous to all of us, no matter what cultures we come from. Taking those breaks, whether it's, spending time with loved ones, of course, is also important. I've heard of a lot of folks throughout COVID-19 that have had more time with college students because the college students have been home. And while it's important for families to give them some of that, that time on their own to interact with their classmates, it's also important to pull them out of their rooms or where they're spending their time online and say, hey, let's go take a walk as a family. And while you might get groans as a parent, invariably by the end of the walk, somebody's laughing and there's been some really good conversation. So, it's important to make sure we spend time with those we love as well.
All right, Dr. Lundquist, thank you so much. Some wonderful advice for our viewers this afternoon. I appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure, and hope everybody stays healthy and well out there.
Thank you. And if you missed part of our digital conversation, you can join us for a recap later today, beginning on Wavy News 10 at 4. Have a great afternoon.